Last orders at the bar.
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll say, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line before the Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Lies! It's actually just the critical drinker tonight because Mauler is busy streaming with metal. Well, Mauler, we know who's more important in your life, eh? No, I jest with you, but unfortunately, this is the only night I've got available to do this catch-up from Open Bar, so it's going to have to be just me tonight since Mauler's not available. And forgive my funky attire tonight, but it's like minus 200 degrees in Scotland currently, and this is pretty much the only way I can keep myself warm and stop myself dying. So, you know, you have to do what you can do to survive, but it's all right. I got this to keep me going as well. I've been waiting ages to use this hat, man. I got this in Berlin like 5 years ago. I've got to say, it's pretty effective. Anyway, enough of my pointless waffle. There's some super chats that need to be answered here. And the first of them is the outstanding chats from our channel members. Thank you, all friends, for sending these in. Snex was good enough to send them through to me, so much appreciated, sir. Anyway, Loki Dennison has joined as a member of the Fellowship of the Drinks, so welcome on board, sir. Grendel Vivat says, I paused after they beat Vecna and the Mind Flayer with inexplicably no casualties and said, wait, we've got how much time left? Yeah, it does. It turns out they had a lot of time left. Ruby Earl says, I think new TV shows need 2 to 3 years between seasons, so they have time to send their scripts to all the different sensitivity readers. That could well be true, yeah. You got to have sensitivity readers for everything now, and if you want to have any kissing or anything like that, you got to have yourself an intimacy coordinator and God knows how many other pointless made-up positions they've come up with. It's all just a scam, man. It's just a scam to justify spending obscene amounts of money. Admiral Teague says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Admiral Teague. Wayward Samurai says, hello there, drinker. Hello to you, sir. I was rewatching obscure movie Cherry 2000 and wondered if you would ever review such a weird old gem. I mean, I've never even heard of it before, but I could definitely take a look. It's just one of those ones I'd have to add to my list, you know? And Whiskey Hunter says, you're one of the top 20 drinkers that I know. Cheers. Thanks, babe. You're 1 in 10. Got any festive drinks that you would recommend this holiday season? A nice old-fashioned never goes too wrong at this time of year. It's whiskey season for sure when it's cold and dark outside, so that would probably be my festive recommendation. Mauler would probably recommend Bailey's to you because he's an absolute Philistine. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, yeah, so that's the member chats right there. Now, allow me to bring up the other super chats that were outstanding. They came in a slightly weird order on the night, so apologies if they're slightly out of sync in the order that they came in or whatever, but I'll do my best to keep up with them and not, you know, lose my place or anything. And if I do happen to repeat one or answer one that's already been answered, well, I was pretty drunk on the night. What can I say? All right. Jamaican Bacon here says there was much gnashing of teeth to the sound of clapping cheeks as legacy media was bent over last year. With that bottom worn out, what happens next? Well, now begins the rise of independent media. I mean, I joke, but like that sort of thing's been a long time coming, man. And I think it's just accelerating now. You're seeing like the final collapse of legacy media. And it can't come soon enough because there are a bunch of partisan shills. I would much rather see independent media who don't really have, you know, they don't have a stake in it so much as they're just passionate about the source material or the subject matter or whatever, and they report more honestly. So I think that's been long overdue, and I can't wait to see more of it. So bring it on. Deval says older films and shows, even long ones, were better at telling dense stories with very fast characterization. Yeah, because it was episodic. Modern films and shows are often needlessly empty. Again, because they're not episodic, so they stretch out relatively simple plots over way too long a period. And because they have to pace it out over multiple episodes, there's often a lot of filler involved just to fill the gaps. And that results in really a lot of boring characters or events that don't have any connection to the rest of the plot, subplots that go nowhere. It creates a lot of problems for them. Shadowhawk says, Hail Drinker, Mahler and panel. Here's to a new year and hopefully a better year for films. Any special plans for Open Bar 200? We'll do what we usually do and invite on as many guests as we can, like from previous open bars. So basically the invitation is going to be open to everyone, and we'll try and pace it out as best we can to get as many people on as possible. I think with StreamYard you can have like 10 or 12 on at a time, so we should be able to get a lot of people in. And yeah, we've in the past we've done like games like, you know, celebrity deathmatch type stuff. I'd like to do more stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see what Mahler and I can come up with. It'd be nice to get a few special guests on as well. Not to say that all our guests aren't special, of course. Jim says Stranger Things was a bunch of spineless nonsense. I mean, they played it safe for sure. No arguments there. Batbod says, Happy New Year. My dad and I watched Fackham Hall to end the year. Would highly recommend. Yeah, I did watch it. I would say probably the best jokes were in the trailer, which I know is kind of what you'd expect, but I was really pumped for it when I saw the trailer. I thought, this looks genuinely good. It had me laughing out loud, and went into the movie. And the good jokes are kind of, there's a lot of crappy filler in between, and it's spread out a little bit. It's not terrible, but like if I compared them, I think Naked Gun was probably better. It was probably funnier. The jokes came more thick and fast, and it just worked better, I think. Yeah, Fackham Hall wasn't quite what I hoped it was going to be, but I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. John Hansen says, Happy New Year, Drinker, Mahler, Gary, and Disparu. Thank you. Turns out Mrs. Harris from Stranger Things season 5 was my high school drama teacher. She taught the Duffer Brothers a year before me. This is her fault. Good Lord. If that's true, that's fucking awesome, man. Todd Stone says, Hey, Mahler, you once said in previous EFAP episodes you'd someday make an unbridled praise and rage for Civil War and Iron Man 3. Do you still intend on doing these someday, or has the plan changed? So, I don't like to put words in Mahler's mouth, but he couldn't be bothered to show up for this tonight, so fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. I believe he is still planning to do those things, yes. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of projects that Mahler has in the works, and they all take a long time because they're like super long and detailed videos, but I know he has these at various stages of completion, and I know in 2026 he's aiming to get, you know, a more steady stream of content out than he's had in the past, because Star Wars Outlaws ate up basically an entire year of his production schedule, which is intense by anyone's standards. But I think he's maybe going to do like some shorter videos that he can release more frequently going forward. We shall see, though. Who knows what other things might change his plans. Ghost Ocelot says, I desperately need my weekly dose of pointless facts. Also, Happy New Year. Well, we aim to please, you know. We'll keep supplying you with the pointless facts as long as we can, as long as they last. Oli Celine says, Happy New Year, Critical Drinker and Mahler. And to you, sir. Hikira says, Drinker, I'm so happy K-pop Demon Hunters was number 4 best movies. I wasn't the target demographic either as a 6'4" straight white man in his late 30s, but damn, was that fun. It was, yeah. What can I say, man? Sometimes movies just get you, and, you know, why not enjoy them? And I just wanted to give it credit where credit was due, you know? It would be easy to dismiss something like K-pop Demon Hunters as either like meaningless fluff that's just like a giant music video, or it's all girl bossies or whatever, but that's absolutely not what the movie is, and I wanted to, you know, give it the respect it deserves, I suppose. Yeah, good little movie. I liked it. Robert Hayes says, Happy New Year. Do we want Manchester City to win? Well, the interesting thing about me is I couldn't give a shit since I'm Scottish. Tessellate says, first movie of 2026. I just watched Strange Days. Fair enough. What did I watch last night? I watched some old movie from 2005, which I know isn't old, but, you know, it's 20 years now, called The Cave. I'd never seen it before. I'd heard about it. And I thought, well, I really enjoyed The Descent, and maybe The Cave is going to be similar because it seems to have the exact same premise. Holy hell, was that movie crap? Don't watch The Cave. Watch The Descent instead. It's way, way better. Reno the Turk says, oh my God, look at the funky apple goons. I see what you did there. Next says, Happy New Year. Open bar 169. Nice. What a way to end the year. Or start the year, should I say. Manzor says, let's get it 2026. I'm already drunk as fuck. That's the way it should be. Keep it that way. Kevin O'Neill says, Happy New Year. Just brought an entire row of seats for the extended fellowship showing in a couple of weeks. Invited the same family and friends that saw the original release with back in the day. Can't wait. That is fucking awesome, sir. What a lovely gesture, and what a cool way to just, relive the good times. So much respect to you. I hope you guys all enjoy it. James Busher says, saw Watch Mojo's top 20 shows of 2025 video that they posted today. The first two were Alien Earth and Daredevil Born Again. Brilliant stuff. Really nailed it. Yep. Going back to that comment that we saw earlier about the legacy media dying, that's it right there. It's stuff like that you see all the time. These like must-watch movies of 2025 or the best TV shows of the year, and it's all slop. It's garbage, and it's stuff that they've been paid to shill for. That's all it is. They don't care about anything. They just care about making money. That's all it comes down to. That is why legacy media outlets like them are fucking dead, and no one listens to them anymore. Yeah, bring it on. Can't wait for them to die off. Master of Puppets. Stranger Things Season 5 was the worst one for me. I love how all the father figures in the show are deadbeats or useless, and they forgot about Mr. Wheeler in the hospital until the very end. Yeah, fucking justice for Mr. Wheeler. Yeah, you're kind of right there. A lot of the male characters are either sidelined, marginalized, or just made out to be inexplicably useless. They definitely went girl boss mode to a degree with the finale. It had been kind of on and off throughout this season anyway, and yeah, it really came to the fore. Did they have to do it? No. But hey, Netflix is going to Netflix, I guess. They just had to get that one last jab in there. Fox says, I've been drafted as an offensive tight end for the Chicago Griftly Bears. The Grifter Bowl victory has my name on it. I can taste it. Well, here's to the Griftly Bears, sir. From one Griftly Bear to another, in fact. Gene the Machine. Drinker and Crew, have you considered doing a video of top 10 film and series franchises that should have stayed at one movie or season? My number one is Highlander. Why? There can be only one. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that'd be an interesting one to talk about, actually. Franchises that should have stayed at one, because, a lot of them had two good ones at least. Aliens, Terminator, Predator, all had two pretty good movies, and then it went downhill from there. Yeah, I'm trying to think of ones that were just one good movie, and that's where it probably should have stopped. The Joker, actually, yeah. Never should have made Filet Adieu. Fucking dog shit movie. I don't know if that counts as a franchise, since it's just like another iteration of Joker, but yeah, that was a follow-up movie that we never needed or wanted. MFL Legend says, Happy New Year, Drinkster, Mauler, and crew. Besides Will Jordan, don't know that guy, sounds like a dick. Who are your best or your favorite authors still writing books? No Comics or George R.R. Martin? Still working today? Gosh. This is where I struggle a little bit, because most modern authors I'm checked out of. Back in the day, and probably still to this day, when I'm on holiday and I go through the airport, get a book, it'll be like a Clive Cussler adventure novel. What can I say? I'm a sucker for trashy adventure novels. I think he's kind of turned them over to his son now. So, it's become a generational thing because he's getting pretty old now. But yeah, I love those just adventure books, like unearthing some ancient treasure or whatever. It's usually completely, nonsensical, but I don't mind. It's nice. Next up, what have we got here? Lee H says, thank you for another year of entertainment and enlightenment. Well, hopefully we provided entertainment at least. I don't know how much enlightenment we can give people, but we try. Yeah, Drinkers Somali Daycare. Happy New Year all. Just wanted to announce that we've entered into a paid partnership with Chris Stuckman. Big things in the works. Cheers. Honestly, man, we joke, but give it a couple of months, he'll be shilling for that shit. You pay him enough money, he'll sell you anything. Dutch Gradient says, Happy New Year panel. Was Change of Habit a movie about a nun switching convents? No idea. Sorry. Enderblaze says, Drinker, Sons of Anarchy, Peaky Blinders, Mobland, or Boardwalk? In my opinion, Peaky, Sons, Boardwalk, and then Mobland. This is a hard one as they were all great. Yeah, I mean, obviously some have got multiple seasons, so it's like it's difficult to compare them. Whereas, something like Mobland is currently only on one season right now. Never really watched Sons of Anarchy, so I couldn't really make a judgment on that. Peaky Blinders was fucking awesome. So I'd probably rank that first, if I'm honest. Boardwalk, I watched most of season 1, but like I never really got beyond that. Not that I didn't like it, it just maybe didn't grab me in quite the way that other shows did, and there was a lot of it to get through. But I did like it for what it was. I'd maybe put Mobland above that. So like Peaky Blinders, then Mobland, then Boardwalk, and then Sons of Anarchy. But that's only because I haven't watched Sons of Anarchy. So maybe it's the best thing ever. I'm not sure. Yapping Tom says, Drinker, our echo chamber breaks again. Mauler doesn't like Dispatch. Open Bar will remember that. Mauler, make it even. Destroy Stranger Things, please. I mean, we all did to some extent. But hey, Mauler not liking Dispatch. We're all entitled to have one retarded take of the year, and he decided to cash his in super early. So, he's got the rest of the year. He's got to have solid takes. What can I say? Bumblebee says, Gary, tell Drinker about Unsubscribed Podcast. Fans want him on the show. Okay. I do make appearances on other podcasts and do interviews and stuff occasionally. So if those guys want me on, it's not hard to get in touch with me. Like, I've got an email link and stuff on my channel. So just email and ask if I can come on. That's it. We can set something up, I'm sure. Fox says, thoughts on True Detective Season 1? Yeah, I've got a thought. Alexandra Daddario's tits. My thoughts don't extend much beyond that, I'm afraid. And you know what? They don't need to. Cannon Falderall says, Drinker, good work on 69. Nice lineup. Also that year, The Wild Bunch, excellent. The Italian Job, even more excellent. And The Odd Bond on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Cheers. Yeah, that was Lazenby's one, wasn't it? Not my favorite. It's also the only time you've seen Bond get married, and then his wife instantly gets killed by one of Blofeld's goons. Yeah, I think that was proof immediately that George Lazenby didn't really have it as Bond. The fact that they had to dub his voiceover as well, that didn't help. I think they actually had to lure Connery back for one more Bond after that with a very hefty paycheck, and you could tell he was not up for it at all. Yeah, but they did it, so it was what it was. Once they got past that, they settled into the Roger Moore era, and the rest is history. Robert Hayes says, technology is no longer innovative, just iterative. That's very true, actually. We certainly got to that point. Reno the Turk says, after finishing Stranger Things, what do you reckon happened between Harbour and Millie Brown that caused the HR issue? I don't know, honestly. Like, we got so many conflicting reports about it, that she had this like restraining order against him. Not sure how much of it to believe at this point. They certainly appeared together at the premiere and stuff, and they seemed pretty cozy with each other. Whether it was just him being, too aggressive on set. Like, sometimes the disagreements happen about how scenes should be played out. People can get frustrated. Arguments can break out. And obviously, he's a big fucking guy, and she's like this tiny little girl. If he's getting aggressive or confrontational with her, I'm sure that's going to immediately prompt an HR intervention. And, you have to go to sensitivity training, sir, and never show emotion around her again, ever. Not sure. So I don't want to make too many assumptions about it, but I guess these things can easily spiral out of control, I do know that it's caused a lot of fucking damage for his reputation. Yeah, I don't know if it was Gary or Chris Gore or something. He once described David Harbour as like he was going to be the next Pedro Pascal, or should I say he was going to be Pedro Pascal before Pedro Pascal arrived on the scene, and then he just essentially got supplanted. He was building up to be in fucking everything, and then Pascal kind of came in and took the heat as like this kind of solid sort of middle-aged father figure type character or character actor. And David Harbour's just kind of fallen by the wayside. Next up, Chad says, how much would it take for you guys to do a live episode at Rise Up Con with Kevin Sorbo and Sean Patrick Flannery? I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't take much at all, I suppose, if we could work something out, if they wanted to do that, if it was something that could even happen. Hey, could be fun. You know, I don't do things like con appearances stuff for the money. It's just more like I do it for the love of the game. It's fun to do. Yeah, Sir Patrick says they should have done a movie instead of an entire season as filler. My wife just constantly laughed at how bad the acting was. Hail to the bar. You're not wrong either. Lazarus says last episode of Stranger Things was 2 hours but seemed longer than Mahler's 17.5-hour video. Well, that's because you didn't have Mahler's dulcet tones in your ear, you know? That's amazing how much it makes the time fly. Yeah, what's that? One-Armed Wolf says, I'm wasted. I cooked 400 hot wings and had a pony keg with 5 people last night. Still going. We partied hard. Hail the fellowship. Happy New Year. That is the way to fucking see in the new year, sir. Hats off to you. I wouldn't actually take my hat off right now, though, because I'll freeze to death. Yeah, Clarity Walks says, no justice for Eddie, unfortunately. Nah, he's killed by the fucking bats, which are never seen again. Nigel Huntley says, now Stranger Things is over. Vecna and the Mind Flayer are the worst villains I've seen. Absolute pussies. They were beaten pretty easily. The Mind Flayer certainly was. Just throw a few Molotovs on him and he just fucking dies of boredom. Thomas Bachman says, best theatrical event of 2025, the Revenge of the Sith re-release. You're not far off, by the way. Stole the thunder for a lot of movies. Mega Spidey Man says, happy New Year, everyone. Drinker and guests, favorite Muppet Treasure Island song and why? To all, where would you most like to live in Middle Earth and why? I think, yeah, we answered that one, actually. Pretty much we all chose the Shire because it sounds awesome. Mr. Case says, have you guys seen the first few episodes of Fallout Season 2? What do you think so far? Not too impressed so far. There's a lot of filler. There's a lot of busy work. There's a lot of time wasting. I think they're going way too far into the comic, isn't everyone goofy and stupid kind of route. Like, it's a little bit too much now. The ghoul is also a bit useless. And I don't like the tonal sort of whiplash you get, like, where they want to go back to the flashback stuff with Cooper when he was still like an actor and still human and stuff before the war. And it's all played like very serious and very like unnerving and tense and stuff. And then they go to the goofy, wacky comedy shenanigans of the present. It doesn't really work. You can't have that kind of tonal shift in a show like that and expect us to take it seriously. So not terribly impressed with it so far, but I'm only a couple of episodes in. We'll see what happens. Yeah, OMG Puppies says, I discovered my black Labrador has been charging my credit card to send super chats. Happy New Year, Drinker, get Mahler and gang. Yeah, those fucking asshole dogs always like charging things in your name. I've experienced it many times with the critical doggos, and honestly, I had to rein them in. They used to have an expense account, but I couldn't trust them with it anymore. Reno the Turk says, the Duffers will be the new Wachowskis. I don't know. We'll see where they go. We'll see if they have a sex change. Joe Call says, all of these people would be in Gitmo for the rest of their lives. Yep, 100%. What's this? Domas says, question, what was the lightest or favorite movie in recent years that you absolutely loved, will remember, and rewatch for years to come? I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm only the one that's here to answer this. The example we often cite for rewatchable movies or movies that were just like really feel good and you came out of the cinema buzzing was Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, like a movie that I don't think we had super high expectations for, but man, it just absolutely rocked. And whenever I'm like traveling or whatever, you're flying on a plane and you've got like the fucking in-flight entertainment. It's almost like no matter what I pick, there's always someone in the row around me or just in front of me who's watching Top Gun Maverick, and I end up fucking watching that on their screen more than I watch my own film. It is super rewatchable. What can I say? It's that kind of movie. So it's probably that. What's this? The Imperial Brick says, Happy New Year, you drunken bastards. Guilty as charged. I went to see Avatar last night. What wonderful writing. Who rescued Jake? A guy. Who was Spider's mother? A girl. All such questions answered satisfactorily. Isn't it great? Yeah, the fucking writing in Avatar is amazing, man. Snazzy Comet says, Linda Hamilton, not to worry, backup is on the way. And they brought more guys with M16s. Also, are we assuming every soldier is just evil or... Yeah, exactly. I can't help but think about those sonic cannons that they've got, which disable 11 and Kali, I think her name is, like disable their powers and render them basically immobile and paralyzed. Wouldn't it be interesting to use them on Vecna? Did they ever try that? Because that feels like it would be a real game changer. Maybe they could even use them in the Mind Flare. Like, imagine during that climactic battle if the military had showed up with like tanks and aircraft and those sonic cannon things. And Linda Hamilton had grabbed Nancy and told her to stand up and said, come with me if you want to live. I don't know. I'm just saying, man, like, it feels like the military were just like, they were a threat when they needed to be, and they were just completely non-existent when they would have been inconvenient for the script. Funny how that works. Jander says, Drinker, Robin's gay, you know? I've kind of got that impression, yeah. The show is super subtle about it, but I figured it out. I'm pretty smart. I'm a smart guy, as you can tell. Glenn Jones says, no made this fuss about Firefly being cancelled. Stranger Thing was meh to begin with. It was, I think I remember answering that, actually. It was pretty good in season 1. It really was. Yeah, Alex says, thanks for reviewing Warfare. I'm email guy. Industry's a slow beast, but things are moving. Shows like this are seen and heard, so thank you. Awesome. Good stuff, man. I remember you talking to me about this. And yeah, I'm glad I could review Warfare. Hopefully I got a few eyes on it. If I could help a little bit, good, because the movie deserves it. Yeah, Anthony Ringette says, there's no situation where any combination of characters could have bested the Mind Flayer. Not the Mind Flayer from previous seasons anyway, but this one, I guess, is just a big spider, I guess. That's all you get out of it. 5 picoseconds says, Will is gay, by the way. I know, him and Ellie need to, like, talk. I can't wait to see the all-conquering gayness. Loki says, my kingdom for a Dumbledore versus Voldemort level fight between wizards, mage, whatever, 11 and Henry were. Very rarely done right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, there's a couple here that I've already done, so I'm just skipping forward through them. Yeah, Jay Fraser says, Happy New Year, gents. Your anticipated 2026 media. Pretty much Godzilla -0 and, yeah, Project Hail Mary. I think we talked about that on the night. Those are the only ones I'm particularly excited about. The rest of it is just sequels and remakes and God knows what else. Super Mastermind says, well, if you make an invention that could alter national security, they will make it top secret and you can't make money on it. Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. That is true. Dildo Shaggins says, Hail Jinker in chat. Can I be a cheeky bumhole and ask for a shout out for my cousin's gaming channel? Carry on YT. He's bad at games, but it's fun to watch. Happy New Year and peace to you all. And you, sir. Bo Limdu says, considering the building exploded before the sacrifice, it's safe to assume Kali died in the explosion unless she girl bossed out of the building. I would think so, yeah. I would assume she did, or unless she managed to crawl out of the building and get to a safe distance, but then she would have died when the Upside Down imploded anyway. So one way or another, she's fucking toast, man. Jeremy says, Happy New Year, everyone. I don't like girls. I'm gay, and can I have a round of applause and a group hug? Naturally, the open bar has got your back. Southeastern Kaiju says, why didn't all the 12 kids have powers? Because it would have been inconvenient for the script, I guess. That's all it is. Yeah, what's this one? Yeah, Jonathan Lampkin. Happy New Year from your bro for life. I had a 4-leaf clover I was going to send you, but I gave it to an old lady who needed luck. I see what you did. Jay Fraser says, Stranger Things summed up in 4 words. So much lost potential. Definitely for the ending, yeah. Slip to Garçon says, sorry I'm late. I was genuinely watching Snow White 2025. Wife and I decided to watch the movie Sorry, watch the worst films that we could find tonight. Well, you've got an absolute corker there, sir. Zegler really does gurn, but Gal Gadot appears to be having great fun. I mean, I hope she did, because I'm pretty sure that toasted her career. Like, she's not really got anything particularly huge coming up. And I think this was the year where she became a proper internet meme of like, oh my God, she actually cannot fucking act to save her life. Lazarus says Millie Bobby Brown has the same emotional expressions throughout the series, just a terrible actor. She's screwed without Netflix. I think she probably is, to be honest. Without Netflix, she's not got the looks. She's not really got the charisma or the screen presence to be a leading lady in big budget movies. And yeah, as people have pointed out, she seems to have been speedrunning her way towards middle age at the tender age of like 21 or 22, whatever she is. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she's going to have some kind of like meltdown at some point in the next couple of years. Like that, she's going to hit that post Stranger Things crash, and I think it's going to cause her to spiral. I hope it doesn't, because I don't know. She seems like a nice enough person. It's just she's been essentially like kept afloat by Stranger Things. That's the show that caused her to be discovered, and she was amazing in the first few seasons. For a child actor, she did a great job as 11, but you know, when you get beyond that and you like transition into adult roles, you have to reach a different level of performance. And I just, apart from her ability to cry on command, I just don't think she has it. And the fact that she seems determined to turn herself into a 1990s glamour model is not helping. Eatman says Connery is still alive. He would have wanted to see him in Dial of Destiny or reprise his role as Bond, the head of MI6, mentoring a new 007. So, yeah, if Connery had been around for those movies, no, I wouldn't want to see him in Dial of Destiny, because he would have just got fucking humiliated by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, whatever the fuck her stupid character was called. So, no, I don't want to see that happen to Sean Connery. And yeah, like with modern Bond, I just think it'd be so funny to watch him play opposite Daniel Craig. He would absolutely dominate that little twerp. But yeah, maybe it'd be worth it just for that. I don't know. Erikias says, I expect the next generation of actors to be the worst ever. Gen Zers and alphas emote through emoticons. Yeah, don't expect great things. We ain't going to get no Al Pacinos and Robert De Niro's, that's for sure. Adam Milne says, Happy New Year. Play Nier Automata, both of you. Okay, I'll do it right now. The Cynical Crusader. 8 or Talia and Dark Knight Rises. Which was worse? 8. Definitely 8. Worse, way worse performance. Bo Limdu says, Henry was looking for the Cross of Coronado. Yes, he was in Last Crusade, I believe. And then it was his son who found it. What's the next one? Winston Alexander. Know it all Erica was D in What's Happening. Well, I hope we never see her in anything again, because she's awful. Bass Player says, once again, modern writers don't understand cosmic horror. You don't explain anything. It is what it is. Yeah, exactly. That's what Lovecraft is so good at. Southeastern Kaiju says, like with Cloverfield, the Mind Flayer was a baby. Sure, let's go with that. Jonathan Lampkin, the golden doodle puppy I got the family for Christmas has started humping her toys. Excellent. Do the Critical Doggers ever do anything crazy like that? No, because they've both been fixed, so they don't get involved in that kind of shenanigans anymore. Mostly they just lie around sleeping, really. Yeah, Smokey's the more active one. Lara's just like happy to enjoy her retirement and do absolutely nothing. But Smokey still enjoys playing fetch in the garden and stuff. But he's still a greyhound. So it's kind of like he's got the soul of like a Labrador or something, but like the actual body of a greyhound. So you get like 5 or 10 minutes of crazy running around and like playing fetch, and then he's just completely fucked and he has to go and lie down for like an hour. But hey, you know, it makes life easier as long as they're happy. Bo Limdu says, Ted Wheeler was too powerful, so they put him in a coma for the entire season. Yep. Would have been nice to see him at least. Nah, we don't even get that. He's just there. With that character, right, I always expected throughout this show, right, he's this fucking gormless, clueless idiot with absolutely no personality. He just wants to be left alone to like play golf and shit. But eventually, at some point, he'll go into like kick-ass, like father of the year mode. You know, his family will be under threat, and he'll like, you know, he'll step up and he'll really be a hero just for like a moment or something. And they just won't even give it. They wouldn't even give him that. It's like, no, he's still just a joke. He hits the Demogorgon once on the head with his golf club and just gets like one hit killed out of the show. Where of course his wife is able to put up this fucking epic last stand battle because of course she gets to do that. We all know exactly why she gets to do that. Never mind. Netflix gonna Netflix. Jay Fraser says the Duffer Brothers and cast have mentioned the possibility of an It-style reunion miniseries in 20-ish years. The problem is we all don't care anymore. Yeah, 20 years from now, no one's going to give a fuck. In fact, 2 years from now, no one's going to give a fuck. It would be kind of hilarious, though, to see how insanely old they all look. Millie Bobby Brown will look like 80 years old by that point. Balls for Teeth says, what called out to Henry in the first place? Was the kaiju really the Mind Flayer or a mech suit for Vecna? How did the kids know for sure that the kaiju's weak points were? How could they forget it? The shit sucked. Just don't think about it too much. Don't ask questions. Just consume product and get excited for new product. Eatman says, guys, the Connery question was a what if. You're directing the strange... What's the SF movie? Could you inspire more... All right, okay. Could you inspire more faith by going lore accuracy instead of the crap that they did? I guess you could. Like, it all comes down to the execution of it, doesn't it? Like, you know, if you can take the most insane idea ever, but if you execute it with like loads of skill, loads of internal consistency, you can make almost anything work. So I guess it's possible. Zeddy Boy says, Stranger Things does not respect the viewer's time. That's an interesting point, actually. And I think that's probably the philosophy that you should have with TV shows. You know, you're not doing the audience a favor by making it longer necessarily, because their time is valuable. Everyone's time is. It's limited, and so it's valuable. And so the more of it that you take up, the more time you're demanding from your audience. And so the quality of what you provide them in return for that time has to be higher and higher. So yeah, like it goes back to that golden rule of less is more most of the time. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually, especially now when you've got a million different options for what you can watch. Yeah, Malak the Mad says, for you, the day the kid came out was the most important day of your life. For me, it was Tuesday. Glorious quote. Jason Webster says, what is your favorite series of 2025? Probably Andor or Mobland, one of the two. Yeah, Southeastern Kaiju. Why would any of the kids play D&D ever again? I mean, maybe it's comforting. Maybe it's nice to get back to something familiar and simple, and like that harkens back to a more innocent time in their life. So I can sort of buy that. Why would fucking Max play it with them when she openly hates it and, you know, never expressed much of an interest in it? Don't know. She just does now. The Wastelander says season 3 is the lesser of two evils. I'm not convinced, man. Because one thing I can at least say about season 5 is that it took itself seriously. We didn't always take it seriously, but it took itself seriously. Whereas season 3, it didn't. Like, it became a joke, and it wanted you to laugh at it. It wanted you to laugh at guys like Hopper and you know, watch them goofing around and stuff. And it's like, you shouldn't be laughing at him. Like, he's not a jokey character, but that's what they made him into, and that's the atmosphere that permeates that whole season. It pisses me off. Otto Vanderballs says, what grosses the most? Avatar 3, Doomsday, or Brie Larson's feet? But I mean, the whole human race would pay like insane amounts of money to never see Brie Larson's feet, so you could probably go on that. The threat of them is what makes the money. But yeah, for real, Avatar 3 or Doomsday? Avatar 3, I think. It's not going to get to 2 billion, no way, but it will be, I think, if it doesn't reach at least 1.5, 1.6 billion at this point, I'd be quite surprised. I don't think Doomsday is going to get near that. I think Doomsday will do 1 billion, maybe 1.1, 1.2, but it's not going to equal Avatar. Bass player says, we already have a great adaptation of the Odyssey. It's called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, Eatman says, would it be better if next gen console came out in 2030 or later, especially due to rising hardware costs? Blessing in disguise or same issues regardless? I'm fine with it. I'm fine with this current generation continuing on a few more years. Frankly, this is what happened with like the PlayStation 3 era. Like that generation continued on an unusual amount of time, partly because the consoles cost a lot more to develop back then, partly because they were way more technologically accomplished than the previous generation. And so there wasn't as much pressure to move on. And I think we're kind of in a similar situation now. Like, I don't feel and I'm not an expert, but like I never feel like, oh man, my PS5 is really struggling with this one, or God, these games are just looking pretty rough now. Like they were cutting edge a few years ago, but like now I can tell the difference, but like graphically that they're lagging behind. It's fine. Like the games that I play continually look great, and that's okay. Like I'd much rather they focused on the things that actually matter, like the gameplay, the character design, the writing, all of the stuff that gamers actually really appreciate. Graphics have reached the point where we don't need to keep pushing for more. They're fine. And so if this generation wants to stick around for like another several years, that's okay. I think it'll work fine. Maybe I'm just like a simpleton in that regard, but I'm going to hazard a guess that most people would probably agree with me. The relentless pursuit of graphical improvements has come at the expense of the things that matter, which is gameplay, characters, like storytelling, all that stuff. Yeah. Winston Alexander. Watch Bond movies many times, but No Time to Die only once. Watch Star Wars many times, but Rise of Skywalker only once. I can't even get through watching Stranger Things series only once. That's an interesting point, but yeah, there's an argument to be made for rewatchability. I'd definitely rewatch the first couple of seasons of Stranger Things if I had like infinite time on my hands. I don't, obviously. And yeah, a lot of the older Bond movies are super rewatchable. Weirdly, I think the Roger Moore era and the Pierce Brosnan era are the most rewatchable of the Bonds. You can debate which one's better or whatever, but yeah, I never feel compelled to rewatch the Daniel Craig movies. They just never feel like fun. It feels like Daniel Craig's not having fun. The audience isn't having fun. It's just something to be gotten through. What's the next one? Matuz says, since we were all connected, it would be easier to beat the shit out of Will than fight Godzilla-sized kaiju. Oh, so since they were all connected. That'd be an interesting approach, actually. We need to defeat Vecna so they start absolutely wailing on Will. It's unconventional. Yeah. Who's it says lots of originality in that list there. Can't remember what that was, actually. Callum G says, most boring or cringe season of television I've watched in a while. This year, I think I will stick to watching entertaining reviews from you guys. Hail Open Bar, EFAP, and The Fellowship. Hail to you, sir, and thank you for that. Doge says there may be no next Xbox as we know it. Yeah, they're in trouble, apparently. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if either there's no physical console and it just switches to some kind of like Steam box type thing, or they just don't bother. Ian Carells says, happy my birthday, gentlemen. Happy birthday to you, my friend. The Biv says, you guys should watch the new Wonder Man trailer. I mean, I should. I probably will. Right now, I just don't give a fuck. We've got to summon up the enthusiasm for that. Kubus says, after seeing the trailer for Project Hail Mary, I had to listen to the audiobook. Did it twice in a row. It was so good. The movie promises to be at least equal to or as good as The Martian. And Happy New Year. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously different directors this time around. It was Ridley Scott last time. I would argue The Martian was his last properly good movie. Now you've got Lord and Miller, so you're probably going to see more of a comedic aspect to it. Hopefully it doesn't go full-on goofy, comedy, because the book isn't that. It's not. It definitely has, like, from the point of view of the narrator, he's got like a quirky sort of a dry sense of humor, and he's kind of makes witty observations about things. But it's not a joke. It's a serious thing. And so hopefully they can capture that combination. But yeah, I'm excited for it. Hopefully it's going to be good. Lucas says there's a Silent Hill movie coming out this month. Oh, yeah. In January. That's a good sign. Zuki says, No Other Choice by Park Chan-wook looks amazing. I need to look that up, actually. I don't know much about it. Scott J says, thoughts on Cristiano Ronaldo being in the final Fast and Furious? What is the Fast franchise even about anymore? I don't know. I mean, after the last one, I almost thought like they might just stop, like, because that one bombed pretty hard at the cinema. It was dog shit as well. I think if they're going to do anything, they have to like strip it back now. They've taken the overblown "we've got to save the world" thing to its most insane degree. We had cars in space. Their only option now is to try and bring it back for the final one and make it about racing cars again. It's a crazy idea. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. But I don't know what. I do have still this lingering affection for the Fast and Furious franchise. Like, this thing was around when I was in high school. It's that fucking old, right? You're talking like 2001. Like, I was still in high school at the time when the first movie came out. And so I do have a lot of affection for them. They've been there for more than half my life. Definitely like pretty much my whole adult life. The Fast and the Furious franchises still existed. And so if you're going to do one final movie to round it all out, like, it's got a legacy there. You know, bring in the nostalgia, bring in a bit of, a bit of harkening back to like the older movies and stuff. And I know obviously we've lost people like Paul Walker along the way, which is a tragedy. But there's still enough of the cast left, and they're still young enough to do this one more time. I think there's a way you could round it out and have it be a satisfying movie that brings that franchise to a close, because it is a long-running franchise, and it's pretty impressive what they've done with it, if nothing else. Jonathan Lampkin says, in Godzilla, to keep the story engaging, as the first main character accepting having a family and overcame his guilt, now he needs to defend it. Yeah, I think that's a logical way to go with it, for sure. Be kind of interested to see what they do with his girlfriend. She's got infected with that black stuff, so I don't know what was going on there. Jeff with a J says, quit lying. You're all excited in a good way for Rings of Power Season 3. The best character is still the black milk cow from Season 1. I would agree, because it was the most likable and it probably had the best character development, and it was probably the least contradictory of Tolkien's lore. So let's go with that. The Murak says, check out Normal. Looks interesting. Bob Odenkirk. Well, I mean, he's pretty watchable. I didn't love Nobody 2, but, generally he's pretty fun. Keaton Kitsune says, I am disappointed I had to watch Knives Out 3 because of Friends. I cleansed my palate with an actual murder mystery with Chinatown. Yeah, phenomenal movie that keeps you guessing until the end. Plus, the ending is pretty iconic. It is indeed, yeah. Nicholson is superb in it, so yeah, that is a good way to go. And honestly, if you want good murder mysteries, watch any of the Poirot or Miss Marple TV movies from like back in the 80s and 90s. They were made over here in the UK. They're great. They're all lovely little murder mysteries. They're cozy mysteries. Very much like that 1920s Art Deco. Everything's very like retro and period, and it's great. David Suchet is awesome as Poirot. So yeah, stuff like that is great. Like, way better than any of the shite that Rian Johnson was able to concoct. Anthony Ringette says, The Chair Company was the best thing I saw this year and is an original property, but I haven't seen anyone mention it. Yeah, sorry, I just never seen it. Don't know anything about it. Tundra Cat says, for some reason, the wanting to merge the worlds mixed with the red lightning of the Upside Down kept making me think of the Red Forest from 12 Monkeys scene, but 12 Monkeys was actually good. It was, yeah. They had nice visuals, at least in this, so that's something. Jeff with a J says, I wonder if Timothée Chalamet will pull off being able to do a second expression in Dune 3. No, he's just going to kind of stare off into the distance. And, yeah, Zendaya's going to be behind him, frowning. She likes a good frown, does that lass. I'm Adam says, any of you guys seen the Pendragon cycle yet? No, I've seen the trailer for it, and actually looked pretty good. I did a video about it on my second channel, but I haven't watched the show itself yet, so I don't know if it's good or not. Tanner Abbott says, is Iron Lung on anybody's radar? It comes out in theaters on January 30th. I'm aware of it. I just obviously haven't seen it yet because it's not out yet. But I'll be intrigued to watch it. Deval says Filoni control means make what he wants as the head of stories. Before that, there were at least other people to say no, even if they greenlit horrid stuff. Yeah, Filoni's going to be a fucking disaster. Elsie Le Pen says, New Year and already Monkey Paw is coming for me because the Muppet Show is coming back, but by way of Seth Rogen. Yeah. He's part of like the 4 horsemen of the don't want to watch this apocalypse. Yeah. That man is where funny goes to die at this point. So fucking R.I.P. Muppets, I guess. Moto Geek says Disney plus Hulu equals Delulu. I would go with that. Yeah, sure. Ivana says catching open bar on my birthday, super drunk. Excellent. Cheers, everyone. Wishing you all a happy new year. And to you. Hope you enjoy your birthday. Silent Evil says last game or movie of 2025, Eagle Flight VR copycat. Oh, okay. Ran So Far Away says I want a non-binary Jar Jar. I know we had it on Snow White 2025, but it was lame. Sure, we need all of that. Everything should be like that. Dutch Gradient says Amazon is going to grape Stargate and it is going to do it good and hard. The only Stargate worth watching is Stargate season 1 to 8 and Atlantis. Stargate Universe was pure shite. I never watched much of Universe, and so I'm kind of okay with that. They did have a girl in it with massive tits, though. She was one of the military officers, but damn, she was distracting. Yeah. SG-1 kind of, once the Ori story arc came in, it went off the rails a little bit. But yeah, the first 7 or 8 seasons were awesome. Michael Steele says the Dukes of Hazzard used the Speed Trap musical guest whenever the episodes ran a few minutes short. Okay. Never really watched it back in the day. Mad Dog says, did you guys like Robin Hood? I thought it was good. I never watched Robin Hood, I'm afraid. Road Unlife Productions says Pluribus is very good so far, but its worst flaw is being very slow. It takes its time with characters, has an interesting premise, well shot and produced, but it's frustratingly slow. Yeah, I can get that. Because when you think about the premise, like it doesn't exactly lend itself to fast-paced action, so maybe that could be an issue. Yeah, I'll be interested to watch it anyway. I'm going to give it a go. Sorry, I needed to refuel there. Tony says the teenagers in horror movies have always been in their 30s. Well, it was usually mid-20s back in the day, like back in the 80s and stuff, but then people looked old as fuck back then, so, you know, it was difficult to gauge. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like, you can't have actual teenagers playing teenagers because on screen they look about 12 years old. And I'm pretty sure, like, from a union and a financial point of view and stuff, there's like loads of restrictions about the number of hours they can work. So, you know, child labor laws and all that stuff. So I get why they use slightly older actors. I think, you know, one of the most egregious examples in modern in modern TV is the daughter in Landman. Because I was looking at her, right? She's always in a fucking bikini and stuff, and she's meant to be like 18 years old. So it's like already you're kind of flirting with her being jailbait already. But I was like, the actress, when you look at her face, wait a minute. The fuck? What are you doing? Where are you going? My God, greyhounds do actually move around. Smokey. You want to come over? Smokey, come here for a sec. This is proof that greyhounds can do stuff. Yeah, how's it going, boyo? Yay. How are you doing? Yeah. Are you just shifting position because you've been lying in the same place for like 2 hours? Yeah? Yeah, you can do that. All right. Go off and do your stuff. Or are you just going to stand there awkwardly? That's all right. You know, we're just doing a recording session here. People want their super chats answered, but that's okay. You just hog the limelight. It's fine. Yeah. You're definitely not going to take a dump here, are you? Right. Go over there. All right. Off you go. Don't worry. I'm not I'm not going to shock him. He doesn't know. I'm not Hassan Piker, you know. Where's he going? It's fine. You always got to keep your eye on, just in case they actually need out to go and do a piss or something. I think he's fine. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, what was the question? Oh yeah, I was talking about the daughter from Landman. You actually look at her face and it's like, wow, you really don't look like you're meant to be a teenager. And then out of curiosity, I looked up the actress and she's like 29. It's like, come on, man, you couldn't have found someone a little bit closer in age, like that was still going to be an adult. Like that is stretching it a little bit. It doesn't help that they made her utterly retarded as well. Mr. Rich Lopich says, do you think the Blue Eye Samurai was a girl boss, and why or why not? Love the show, especially since it was inadvertently pro-Japanese nationalism. Yeah, indeed. No, I didn't think she was a girl boss because although she's supremely skilled at what she does, you get to see her actually train to try and overcome her physical limitations because she's a woman and she's not going to be as strong as the guy she's up against. So whenever she fights, she's wearing like or whenever she walks around, she's wearing like all these heavy weights attached to her wrists and her ankles and stuff. And then when she fights, she like throws them off. So she's essentially been weight training her entire life, and then she's like extra nimble and fast and stuff. But also, yeah, she gets hurt and she fucks up and she gets outsmarted and she needs help from other people. So for all those reasons, I would say no, she's not a girl boss because she's not flawless, she's not perfect, she doesn't always win at everything, and she actually needs her friends to bail her out at times. She is obviously very good at what she does, though. So I think they struck a good balance with Blue Eye Samurai. And that show, I would definitely recommend that people watch it because it didn't get enough attention. What's the next one? Winston Alexander says, Stargate and Old Trek built their franchise with lore and backstories by having a large volume of episodes, some bad. SG-1 had 214 episodes in 10-ish years. Yes, it did. That was back in the days when you got like 22 episodes per season and you actually had to fill them with stuff. So that was nice. Yeah. I think we said this on the night, but I'll read it out just in case because it's $50. This is John Gets Gaming, who says, the One Piece anime is horribly paced. They can't catch up to the manga and made it year-round till now, so they slow the pace to a snail and do one manga chapter per episode. Netflix is redoing the anime, which should be better paced. The manga is great. All right, cool. I can only say I'm enjoying One Piece. I enjoyed season 1. Looking forward to season 2. Wild Hunter says, best series you've never watched, Warrior. All right. Zodlander says, Critical Role and Dispatch shows. In my opinion, it's not good. Too late for me to refund. Can't recommend it. I do think the Critical Role cast are good voice actors. I mean, I liked it. That's all I can say there. I think there's fun to be had with it. Like any story-based game like that, where it's like got multiple endings, you probably only want to play it through once. That's all you need. But yeah, I liked it for what it was. I think particularly when it's like a borderline independent studio that doesn't have a huge budget behind them, I think they did a pretty good job with it. Yeah, Normal Man says, I don't know about you guys, but I want to return to more episodic storytelling where a story starts and ends within the episode. 100% agree. The Book of Grudges says, my understanding is that Gary and I have the reverse opinion on One Piece. I love the anime and manga, and while I like the live action, I have more trouble taking the over-the-top goofiness seriously in live action. Sure, I can understand why that's a problem because your brain just makes that association. It's live action, it's going to be grounded in reality, but I don't know. I think the show gets over it pretty quickly. Yeah, Mega Spidey Man says, Drinker, favorite Muppet Treasure Island song and why? You never answered on open bar. That's because I haven't seen Muppets Treasure Island. I've seen Muppets Christmas Carol, which is fantastic, but I don't think I ever watched Muppets Treasure Island. That's the one with Tim Curry, isn't it? Never watched it, so I don't know. Don't know any of the songs from it. Dimmy Leap says, I recommend it. Welcome to Derry. Better than Villain than Vecna. Well, yeah, that's because Pennywise. I mean, he's pretty iconic. Yeah, Normal Man. I have a feeling One Piece live action won't make it to the time skip and will fizzle out as the actors age out. The arc following the next 2 seasons will be a CGI eyesore. Look up Sky P. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. John Gets Gaming. One of you motherfuckers watch Demon Slayer. Best cinema experience of the year and some of the most incredible action sequences that you'll see in animation. I'm totally up for watching it. I just couldn't find a copy that I could watch, but I'm definitely up for doing it. Road Unlife Productions 2025 gave us Killer of Killers and Badlands. Shit. Yep, it definitely was. Wow Silva says, your opinion about an old movie, Peter's Friends? Don't know. Who's It says, anything coming up in 2026 that you think might surprise us and be culturally significant? No, I don't think there is, really. Yeah, there's probably going to be good things. There'll be good movies. There's a few that we talked about that we were fairly excited for, but I don't think they're going to be like culturally significant in that sense. So, yeah, there's nothing that really comes to mind. Sly Rise says, shit quality aside, these 8-episode seasons being made only to keep you subscribed to a platform for 2 to 3 billing cycles and hoping you forget to unsubscribe and taking 5 years to make is just frustrating. I do wonder if that's part of the model, actually. Doge says, you can choose to live in fear of AI or accept it. Well, I choose to live in hatred of it, okay? I'm taking the third option. The Book of Grudges says the backlash for AI is crazy. It came out that Sandfall used some AI in Expedition 33, and retards on the internet are flipping on it in pure rage without even knowing how it was used. No, I mean, I'm not one of those people. From what I understand, it was like an AI asset generator that they didn't even use, but like some of the coding for it was left in the game or something. So it's like, I don't care. And even if on a hypothetical level, say you're developing a game, you're a small studio or whatever, and you need AI to generate like simple assets in the game, like fucking chairs or tables or boxes or whatever, fine. Like it's not gonna impact the overall quality of the game, and it's not gonna impact the care that you put into the writing, the storytelling, the characters, that sort of thing. So stuff like that, I don't mind as much. But yeah, I think there has to be a sort of middle ground with this where you at least understand the context of how this stuff is used. I think it's going to be more if they were to use AI tools in order to write scripts, and write like characters and stuff. Like that's the human creativity aspect of it that would really kill it. Wisedom says, Avengers, I am gay. Assemble. See what you did there? Nick Johnson says, First Light developer recently stated in an interview that Bond's womanizing will be altered to reflect modern values. Thoughts? Yeah, thoughts? See. Yeah, fuck off. Bond's a womanizer. That's what he's supposed to be. He's a ladies' man. Fuck off with your modern fucking attitudes of, we got to respect everyone and we couldn't possibly have him sleeping with more than one person. Like, I don't know how to tell you this, right? But the modern dating scene is pretty high on body counts, and no one questions that. So why would it be an issue in Bond? Bumblebee says, do you have to spend a lot of dollars to get your chat read on the live stream? I mean, no. Like, we try to get through as many as we can on the night. The reality is we're never going to keep up with it. I mean, that's definitely a good problem to have, but it is still a problem. So what we tend to do is, as we're going through, I'll try and pause in between, segments or when there's a break in the conversation. And if there's particularly big super chats that have come in, like, I think it's only fair that like we read them out at the time. Like if it's like someone's put in $50 or something, like that's a hell of an investment. And so we want to at least try and get that when we can. Obviously, we appreciate every super chat that comes in, but we get towards the end of the segment, say we get to like the last half hour, 45 minutes of open bar, that's when I'll start at the beginning and then just go through the super chats sequentially. And so at that point, it's just like I'm going one after the other, and it kind of doesn't matter how much they are or whatever. But the reality is not everyone is going to get their super chat read out right there and then, or like on live open bar. It's just impossible for us to get through all of them. The whole thing would just have to be us doing super chats. And I know it's perhaps frustrating for people who want to see their super chat read out there and then. But we're only human. We only have so much time, and we only have so much airtime to get through all that stuff and also tackle all the conversations that we want to do on the night. So it's my long way of saying we do our best, but we can't always accommodate everyone right there and then. Blue Collar Loser says, just saw We Bury the Dead. Daisy is really trying to break off from Ray. An AVG film where weird that it comes out back to back with 28 years later. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm not exactly hyper enthused for Daisy Ridley and what she does, but we'll see. And the last up is the key man who says 3 character deaths feels reasonable for a final season. Excluding Vecna and the Mind Flayer, who do you choose for Stranger Things 5 and when would they die? Oh, I would have killed off Max. I don't think I would have had her survive season 4, to be honest with you, because she does really nothing. I would have killed off 11 for Rio. I maybe would have killed off one of the main party. Maybe not Dustin, because I think that like everyone loves Dustin. Maybe Lucas. It feels like he has no particular purpose for being there. Anyone else? Yeah, you probably want to lose one from like the main party and one from the older teenagers. So either Nancy, Jonathan, or Steve. Yeah, probably. Would I kill off? Yeah, probably Jonathan actually. Kill off Jonathan, and then Nancy ends up with Steve. I think that would have been a nice happy ending. But yeah, I think there was plenty we could have lost. We could have lost. Probably could have lost Hopper actually for all that he does. We definitely could have lost whatever the fucking bald guy with the beard is. Can never remember his fucking name. Anyway, yeah, he did nothing essentially in that final episode. So yeah, we probably could have killed him off as well. Basically, I'm saying there's a lot of options there, and I think if it's the final episode, why not? They don't all have to survive, but hey, I understand their desire to like tie things up neatly, so fair enough. Anyway, that right there is the last of the super chats. So thank you. As we always try to do, like even if we don't get them all in the night, we do cover them on last orders here. So I'm glad I was able to get through all of them for you. You will see me again on Open Bar this week. That'll be episode 170. Believe that. But in the meantime, you guys get yourselves off to a good start with 2026. That's all I've got for today. And go away now.